WWE goes Hollywood? According to the latest figure leak, apparently they are. Find out what's fact and what's fiction about this new leak coming up right now here on Nerd News Today. Hey, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and as we mentioned at the top of this video, we've got a really interesting WWE figure leak to take a look at today. But before we talk too much about that, I want to give a shout out to the Coldest Water. The Coldest Water makes insulated bottles that are perfect for whatever your needs might be. Whether you're a gym rat, whether you're a hiker, whether you're a bicyclist, and water that always stays super cold. We're doing a giveaway with them as well, so check that out in the description for this video below. If you want to learn more about the Coldest Water, head to thecoldestwater.com. So over the weekend, a new leak was posted about some WWE figures that was very, very curious, very exciting also, because it opened up a whole new path of different people we can get in terms of toys. But is this real? Well, that is the big question here about this video, whether or not this leak is actually legitimate or if it's just a load of fluff or a custom. So we're going to go over all the rumor and innuendo and the fact to get to the bottom of this new figure leak. Now normally I like to cite sources in this video, but a lot of different folks are taking credit for it, so I don't actually know who is the original source for this. I'm going to give it right now to Mr. Crafty24 on Instagram. This person apparently is the first person that saw it, but as I mentioned, other folks have been trying to take credit for it, and I don't know who's right, who's wrong in this, so we're just going to leave it at that for now. All that matters is that this figure was posted, and supposedly, what I understand as well, is that the leak came from someone in Canada. And when you put it like that too, it also sounds even more suspicious because, you know, oh yeah, my girlfriend Alberta found this in Toronto. Yeah, it just keeps getting weirder and weirder, but apparently this is what we have. And the image in question is this picture here of The Rock, but not just any figure of The Rock. This is a Mattel WWE Elite figure labeled with a Hollywood logo, and this is not The Rock, this is Dwayne Johnson from Hobbs & Shaw, one of the Fast and Furious films. So it is all decked out in this custom packaging here. The figure is looking very nice. But how legitimate is all of this? Well, let's go ahead and start breaking things down. And first things first, we have to talk about the packaging here, which as you guys can see, it's got a die-cut picture of The Rock as his character from the Fast and Furious spin-off. It has this new WWE Hollywood logo. It does have pretty much what it looks to be up-to-date packaging. It looks kind of similar in some ways to like the Target line, that it doesn't have that giant TrueFX sticker like most Elite figures do, the one with the big hologram, but it still does have the TrueFX logo in that top left corner. And so far, it's looking pretty legit too from the front. Now, when we turn it over to the back, we have another picture of The Rock there in action, as well as who else in this line. That's where it gets really, really interesting to me, because as you guys can see, we've also got Roddy Piper from They Live, and John Cena from F9, the most recent Fast and Furious movie where he is in there, and it's all about family, but we'll save that meme for a different day. So as I mentioned, things came into question here because a lot of folks are wondering if it's a custom, and there's fair reason to think that. When you first look at the head for the figure, in fact, you'll notice that the head is basically, I think, a reuse of the WWE Elite 81 figure of The Rock. So we've seen that head before. But that doesn't necessarily remove any credence from this thing being legitimate, because we see heads recycled all the time. The images used also in the packaging, I think, also kind of drew some ire from folks because they don't really look like they're the best images either. And they seem to be high res, but they're not like the most exciting or important images of these characters. On the front, the picture of The Rock doesn't really look that good. It's not like the best image that they could possibly use, but it's there. And same goes for the back. It's like this weird photo of him where his eyes are kind of grunted or whatever. It's a surprising choice for what they're putting on the back of the packaging. But everything looks legit in terms of copyrights, in terms of all the different trademark symbols and all that kind of stuff. So if it was a custom, they really went out of their way to make this look very good. And on that note too, it's a very clean packaging job too. Like, it looks legitimate just from that alone. And what added to the legitimacy of this figure is what you see wrapped around The Rock's waist. And I went to go ahead and check stills from the movie, and that, by the way, is based on the scene where The Rock and Roman Reigns are performing a haka. And yeah, that fabric is identical to the fabric that Dwayne Johnson is wearing in that scene. So if it's a custom now, we're getting really, really, really authentic with that custom. So at this point in the weekend, no one knows if it's legitimate or an illegitimate custom. It's just being presented as an upcoming release. And that brings us to a guy we talked about in one of our other leak videos, Painmaker Figs. And somehow he was able to go ahead and track down the official Walmart listings for all three of these figures. And that confirmed who the characters were that they're based on, and that they're also most likely going to be Walmart exclusives. So the theory right now is that they are legitimate and they're going to likely be replacing the Decade of Domination line. So it started out as a debate between whether or not a toy was a custom or an actual thing, has now ended with us knowing for fact that this is a real item and that this will be coming to pre-order at some point very, very soon. My prediction is that it's going to most likely happen closer to San Diego Comic-Con 2021 time. And we already mentioned who was going to be part of this very first wave, which as you can see obviously is going to be Dwayne Johnson. We're going to get Roddy Piper from They Live, and we're going to get John Cena's appearance as Jacob in F9. But this really opens things up for a lot of other possibilities. Because after all, at this point what we're looking at, this is not WWE films, these are actually licensed films from other companies. So obviously right now they're sticking to the Fast and Furious license, but then they also have They Live. And that license has been coming up a lot lately because NECA is doing their figures as well from that. And I believe Super 7 also did a bunch of those. If they haven't already come out, they are coming out, but I'm pretty sure those did come out fairly recently too. But since they're going with the licensed film route, that means they've got a whole bunch of possibilities for films that they do not own the rights to necessarily, but they can license them to make figures of them. And that includes a lot of Hulk Hogan things, which that's really cool because we can finally get a Mattel version of Thunderlips from Rocky III. We can get a Suburban Commando figure. We can get a whole bunch of different things. But more importantly, we can finally get a Hulk Hogan from No Holds Barred. And that means if we're getting a Hulk Hogan, why can't we finally get a Mattel version of Zeus? This is something that if you guys are regulars to the channel, you know that Vinny, the wrestling figure historian here, has been wanting to get a Zeus figure for ages. We got a bet going on. And I think at this point, he's gonna have to drink a whole lot of hot sauce because we haven't gotten a Zeus yet. But hey, there's now a higher possibility than ever that a Zeus could become a reality for a WWE Mattel figure. And even beyond Hogan, we do have plenty of WWE movies out there. We could get a Cena wheel version of Kane. We've got plenty of versions of The Miz for the Marine series. There's a whole lot of possibilities here with this line if it actually takes off the way it's meant to take off, and I really hope it does because I'm very, very excited for this and how it's looking so far. A Hollywood line is definitely an oddity, but I think it fits very well within this line, and it's going to give you a lot of possibilities with figure photography as well for folks to do that sort of thing. So at the end of the day, no, this was not a rumor. No, this was not a custom. This WWE Hollywood stuff appears to be 100% legitimate. Now, obviously, we're not going to know for sure until we see the first pre-order drop, but I think it's pretty safe to say that this is good to go. And if it's not, well, then hats off to whoever's pulling this hoax, because they're doing an amazing job convincing all of us that it is real. But for my money, and your wallet as well later on whenever this actually does get released to the public, it's authentic, it's real, it's coming soon. But when that's going to happen, well, stay tuned. We'll have all the information once we actually do find out the proper release date of this and all the other details surrounding it. So again, thanks to whoever actually did officially leak it. You know, if anybody can confirm who did or who didn't, I'd love to hear in the comments if you know. And I'd also love to hear who you think should join this WWE Hollywood lineup. There's a whole lot of names that could be added to this list, and I want them all. I want to hear your thoughts on who you want to get a figure of that's a WWE guy from a Hollywood film. And hey, don't forget to check out thecoldestwater.com. We're going to have links for that in the YouTube description below, as well as where you can enter a giveaway to win a bottle of your very own. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys here later with more wrestling figure news, reviews, and a whole lot more here on this channel.